Hello everyone, welcome to Audit Course session number 7. Today we are going to discuss CSCE RC coupled cascade amplifier. So over here the first stage consists of a MOSFET amplifier followed by the BJT amplifier. So your MOSFET is connected in the voltage divider with the voltage divider bias, and same is the BJT. BJT is with the voltage divider bias. So that the MOSFET works, the biasing is such that the MOSFET works in the saturation region, and over here the biasing is such that the BJT works in the active region for it to work as an amplifier. Now, why the name RC coupled? Because as you can see very clearly, the second stage is being coupled to the first stage via a coupling capacitor CC2. Okay, so that is why it is also called as a RC coupled cascade amplifier. Now we have to determine the various DC parameters and the midband gain, and finally we are going to find the input impedance and the output impedance of the circuit. So let us begin. So for a DC analysis, we will consider the capacitors as open circuit because the reactance offered by the capacitance for a DC, that is for frequency equal to 0, is infinite. That is why all the capacitors will behave as an open circuit. Now, since there are two different types, that is one is a MOSFET and other is a BJT biasing circuit, the analysis will be different. So first we'll concentrate on the MOSFET. Fine. MOSFET has R1, R2, RD, and RS, and this is an N-channel enhancement type MOSFET with a power supply voltage as 20 volt. So over here, the threshold voltage is given at 5 volt, and the Kn value is given as 0.2 milliampere per volt square. Now, the VG, the gate voltage value over here is given by R2 divided by R1 plus R2 into VDD. If you work out in a calculator, that number will be 9 volt. Now, VGS will be VG minus VS. That will be 9 minus ID times RS. That is 820. So if you substitute, the value of current ID for MOSFET working in the saturation region is given by ID is equal to Kn times VGS minus VT and the whole square. Kn value is given, VTN value is given, which is ID will be equal to zero point 0.2 into 10 is to minus 3 into VGS minus 5 the whole square. Now we have to substitute this 3 in 2. Okay, and finally we have to rearrange and you will get a quadratic equation in terms of VGS, which will be 0.164 VGS square minus 0.64 VGS minus 4.9 equal to 0. And the you will get two answers since it is a quadratic equation. So you will get VGS equal to 7.755 volt and VGS equal to minus 3.8. So we'll reject the value of minus 3.853 because VGS has to be greater than VTN. Now, once we got the VGSQ value, which is 7.755 volt, IDQ value will be Kn times VGS minus VTN the whole square. Okay, and if you substitute all the values, now VGS value is also known to us, you will get IDQ value as 1.518 milliamperes. Now the GM1 corresponding to the small signal parameter of a MOSFET is given by twice Kn VGS minus VTN. All the values are known to us now. Kn value is known, VGS we estimated now, and VTN is known. So if you work out in a calculator, this will be 1.102 milliampere per volt. So for the first stage DC analysis, the summary is VGS is 7.755 volt, ID is 1.518 milliamperes, and GM1 is 1.102 milliampere per volt. Okay. So now we go for the next stage, that is the BJT biasing, voltage divider biasing. So over here R3, R4, RC and RE values are given, and we have a NPN BJT with the power supply as 20 volt. Over here the value of beta given is 220 and the VBE is 0.7 volts. We have assumed it. Okay, so over here we will apply the Thevenin's equivalent at the base. So you will get VTH and RTH. VTH will be R4 upon RT plus R4 into VDD. That will be 1.8181 volt. RTH will be R3 parallel to R4, which will be R3 R4 divided by R3 plus R4, which will be equal to 2 kilo ohm. Okay, and IBQ will be equal to VTH minus VB upon RTH plus 1 plus beta times RE. If you work out in a calculator, you will get the IBQ value as 16.37 microamperes. Now, the collector current is given by beta times IBQ, which is 220 into IBQ, and that will be 3.601 milliamperes. VCE will be VDD minus ICQ into RC plus RE. So that number will be 15.3187 volt. Okay. So while doing this so easily, I'm assuming that everyone knows the DC analysis and I'm just using the formula to calculate the values. So there are two small signal parameters for BJT. One is RPI and one is GM. Okay, here in this case, since BJT is the second stage, we have written over here GM2, and GM1 is the transconductance of the first stage. So RPI value is beta VT upon ICQ, where VT is 26 millivolt, beta is 220, and ICQ value is 3.6 milliamperes. So if you substitute all these values in a calculator, you will get 1.588 kilo ohms. Next is GM2, which is given by ICQ upon VT. So over here, we have VT value is given as 26 millivolt, ICQ is 3.6 milliamperes. So this ratio will be 138.46 milliampere per volt. Okay, so here we have it. So for the second stage, actually, sorry, it's written for the second stage. So for the second stage DC analysis, we have IBQ as 16.37 microamperes, correct? And ICQ is 3.601 microamp. ICQ is 3.601 milliamperes, and we have RPI as 1.588 kilo ohms. GM2 is 138.46 milliampere per volt. Okay, so over here, our DC parameters are available. Now let us check it out, the AC analysis. So for the AC analysis, we eventually draw the small signal equivalent model, which I have not shown over here. I'm assuming that you all have already gone through that. And we are directly calculating Zin. So Zin will be R1 parallel to R2 and Z out will be RC. Okay. And similarly, we have to calculate AV1 and AV2. So for that, let me use the annotation now. Okay. So we'll take over here V1. Let's say this voltage over here, which is the output of the first stage, we call it V1, measured with respect to ground. And this is my V out and this is my Vs. Okay. So I am writing over here the formula AV mid will be V out divided by V in. Okay. So formula is pretty straightforward. Now we have divided this into AV1 and AV2. So what will be AV1? The gain of first stage, it will be V1 divided by V in, and AV2 will be V out divided by V1. Okay. So that's what we are going to do. We'll use this formulas to calculate the overall gain, which is the product of AV1 into AV2. Okay. So if you write over here, AV mid will be AV1 into AV2. Okay, so let us continue. Let me clear all the drawings. Okay, fine. So we'll calculate Zin as R1 parallel to R2, which will be over here, let us say R1 and R2 are 22 and 18 mega ohms. Okay, so the value which we get over here is R1 parallel to R2 is 9.9 mega ohms, and Z out will be RC, which is 1 kilo ohm, straightforward. AV mid, which is V out upon V in, which is V out upon V1 upon into V1 upon V in. Okay, so over here AV2 will be V out upon V1. Okay, so which is minus GM2 into RC. GM2 value is available to us 138.46 and RC value is 1 kilo ohm. So you will get AV2 as minus 138.5. AV1 will be V1 upon V in, which will be minus GM1 into RD into R3 parallel, RD parallel to R3, parallel to R4, parallel to R5. So all the values are given over here. We have to just solve it using a calculator. AV1 comes out to be minus 0.7532. Now AV mid is AV1 into AV2, which will be minus, okay, here it is, there is some mistake. It will be 138.5 into minus 0.7532. So this is wrong actually. Okay, let me just show it to you. This is not correct. So instead of this, we will have the number as over here minus 0.7532 into minus 138.5, and that number if you multiply you will get 104.32. So kindly note down this slight mistake over here. Your AV mid is 104.32, and I think here also there is some mistake. Okay, let me just show it to you. Okay, so this is 20 log of 104.32, not this. Let me change this also. So this is also not correct. I guess I have made this a slight mistake over here. So here this is 20 log of 104.32. That comes out to be 40.367 dB. Okay, so that's the value of AV mid in dB which we are getting. Okay, so please check it, please correct it out. Fine. And I hope that I have written correctly in the table at least. Yeah, in the table it's fine, absolutely fine. Now, let's start building up the circuit and let's do the AC and the DC analysis. Okay, so let me go back to the circuit. Yeah, so I have already made one LT Spice circuit already available, I mean made ready for your reference. So over here we have to select NPN from the library. Okay, you just type NPN and you will get this transistor. So I've used this transistor, and for NMOS enhancement node, we use to type NMOS 4. Okay, so you have this. So only difference is here, if you see, this is my drain, gate, body, and substrate. So the substrate terminal of the NMOS has to be connected to the ground. Okay, so this is N channel MOSFET transistor. Fine. So that's what you need to select. Okay, now I'm canceling it. I'm going back to the circuit. Fine. Oh, let me show it to you over here. So we have taken the same components. CC1 is 5 microfarad, R1 is 22 mega, R2 is 22 mega ohms. Then we have RD. Let me just show you. RD is 3 kilo ohms, RS is 820, CS1 is 100 micro, CC2 is 5 micro, R3 is 22 kilo ohm, R4 is 2.2, RC is 1 kilo ohm, okay, and RE is 300, and C is 100 microfarad, and CC3 is 5 microfarad. So we have all these values now, and now we have to check out with the dot model statement. So over here we have to write the dot model statement for the MOS transistor and for the BJT. So let us start. Okay, fine. So over here we have to write the dot model statements now. Fine. So let's just start writing a dot model statement. So right click. So before doing that, let me label this nodes. So this is label net as v in underscore the name. Okay. And similarly, you have to label the output node over here. That will be v out underscore the name. Okay. So this is v out underscore name. And also name the transistor M1 as M1 underscore the name. And this will be Q1 underscore the name. Okay, and let me call this as NMOS1, and this will be NPN1. Okay, so these are the changes which we have to do. Now we have to write the dot model statement. So writing the dot model statement, we will right click over here and go to draft and go to spice directive, and here we'll start writing. So for dot model statement, we have to write for NPN1. Okay, NPN1, this is NPN. We can write the saturation current as 1 E minus 14, and the value of beta is 220, which is given. So this is 220. And in the next statement, we'll write dot model for NMOS 1. We'll write the reserve word NMOS, and VTO is given as 5 volt. Okay, and Kn is given as around zero point 0.2 into 10 raised to minus 3. But here we are writing, I will explain it to you why we are writing 0.4 E minus 3. Okay, so just let me place this thing and then I'll explain it to you all. Okay, fine. So what really happens is, let me use the annotations over here also. Okay, let me write it over here. So ID formula is given by half 0.5 into mu n. Okay, so I'm writing mu n into Cox into W divided by L. Okay, into, we have over here two terms more, into VGS minus VTN the whole square. Okay, so this is into VGS. I'm writing twice because I don't have the square term over here, into VTN. Fine. So this is the formula. So this formula can be written as ID is equal to, here this is zero point 0.5. Okay. Here this is normally written as Kn times, right? Kn times this term, VGS minus VTN the whole square. Okay. So the same term will come over here. Here Kn can be written as this. Okay, Kn is written as 0.5 mu n Cox W by L. Okay, here Kn can also be written as Kn dash. I'll write Kn dash. So I'll put dash as this, Kn dash into W by L. Okay, here in this dot model statement, this Kp is nothing but a Kn dash. So what is Kn dash finally? So Kn dash is nothing but half mu on into Cox. Okay, since W by L we are not considering, it is by default taken it as ratio is 1. So Kn will be equal to Kn dash, correct? So over here, this half mu n Cox, you have this half term also outside, correct? So this half has to be compensated somehow. So basically this is mu n into Cox, and here it will be zero point 0.5, I think. Yeah, we have to look out for this zero point 0.5 term also. So here it is, let's say this mu n Cox W by L, and Kn will be Kn dash into W by L, where Kn dash is mu n into Cox. So basically when we entering a value Kp over here, it is nothing but 0.4 e raised to minus k. Okay, so this is nothing but 0.4 into W by L, which is 1. Now remember, in the original ID formula we have half also. Okay, so this is actually zero point 0.5 into. Okay, so this half also has to be adjusted. Let me just write this over here, half. Okay, so this half, to adjust this half value, we have to multiply this by 2, multiply this Kn dash by 2. That's why we are writing double the value. So we have been given over here, let me just clear out the drawings now, and let me just show it to you. So here it is given as 0.2. That's why we are writing double the value to compensate for that half. Okay, for that zero point 0.5 in the formula. So that's why we have written over here 0.5 e raised to minus 3. And now let us check the DC analysis now. For the DC analysis, what we will do is, we'll go to simulate, we'll click on run, and we'll click on dot operating point, we'll click on OK. So this will give us the operating point. It is not so clearly visible over here. So we'll close this, go to view, go to spice error log, and here you can see in detail we are getting the parameters. So let us verify these parameters one by one very carefully. So here are my BJT parameters. So let us check that out. So here IBQ is 1. I have these parameters over here like this written over here. Orange color is the simulated values and calculated values are green in color. Okay. So IBQ value is coming out to be 16.5 microamperes over here, and calculated is 16.37 microamperes. ICQ is 3.64 in simulation milliamperes, and in calculation it is 3.6 milliamperes. RPI value is 1.56 kiloohms, and we are getting 1.588 kiloohms. GM2 we are getting it out to be 141 milliampere per volt, and here we are getting by calculation 138.46 milliampere. So very close values we are getting. So very correct. This is for BJT. Now for the MOSFET. So for the MOSFET, the VGS value is coming out to be 7.76, and here it is 7.755. ID value is 1.52 milliamperes, and here we have calculation, it is 1.518, and GM1 here it is 1.1 milliampere per volt, and by calculation we are getting 1.102 milliampere per volt. Okay, so we are getting quite accurate. Now all the DC parameters are verified. Now we'll go for the AC parameters, that is the gain. So we'll close this, and we have to delete this .op statement. So remember, addition to this resistors and capacitors and the two transistors, we have to connect external, supply. So for supply, we go to the library and type voltage. So this voltage you have to select. Okay. So there are two voltages. One is DC and one is AC. So for the AC one, we have to right click and go on to sign. Select DC value, DC offset as 0. Amplitude will be zero point 0.1 milli, okay, millivolt, and frequency will be 30 kilohertz. Okay, so these are the values which we are putting over here. Fine, and then click on OK. And we already labeled the input and the output nodes, and we'll go to simulate. We'll click on run, and since it is 30 kilohertz frequency, we can give the time period as around 0.3 millisecond. Okay, so it will give you few cycles. So here I'll divide this into two planes. First plane I'll plot V in. So this is my V in, zero point 0.1 millivolt peak. So it will be 0.2 millivolts peak to peak. Next, I will add trace the V out. Okay. So here I'm getting some value of V out, but over here it's slightly difficult. I mean, it's not impossible or more difficult, but peak to peak value, if you want exactly accurate, we will write here dot measure statements. Okay. So we will write dot measure statements in the spice directive itself. So we'll right click over here and go to draft, go to spice directive, and we'll start writing the statements. It will be dot measure V out peak to peak, and it will be V of V out. What is the label? Okay, so it will calculate like this, and then I'll copy this and paste it onto the next line. Here I'll change this to V in. Okay, and that will be peak to peak value. It will record the peak to peak value of V in. Then finally the formula will come of gain. So it will be like gain. This is param V out divided by V in. Okay. And then I also wish to measure the gain in dB. So gain dB will be again param 20 log. So that will be 20 log to the base 10 of gain. This will give me the gain in dB directly. So now if I click on this and run, I'll get the same waveforms, but the results are stored in the spice error log. So I'll go to view and I click on the spice error log. Here it is. These are the values which I'm getting. Now let me verify this with the calculated values. So AV mid, we got it as 104.827 by simulation, and we are getting 104.32 by calculation. So more or less very closely matched. And AV mid in dB is 40.4095 in dB by simulation, and by calculation it's coming 40.367 dB. So the values are coming quite close. Okay, so we have verified the AC analysis also. Now only one thing left to calculate the input impedance and output impedance. So for that we don't require this dot trans, neither we require this dot measure statements. We'll remove this, and I'll right click over here, click on none, and click on this one, and click on OK. Okay, so we have to change this to test, because this will be the test source, and we have to give a new label as test. Okay, now what is Z in input impedance? Basically, input impedance is nothing but, let me just write it. It will be V in divided by I in. Okay, and which will be equal to V test divided by I test. Okay, and I'll paste it over here. So input impedance looking into the gate terminal of the MOSFET. So which will be I in. We apply an external source and we pass the current through it. So your V test divided by I test will give us Z in. Okay. So now we'll click on the, we'll close this. We'll go to simulate, run. And now we have to do the AC analysis. So we select the type of sweep as decade, number of points as 100, start frequency will be 1K, and frequency will be 1 megahertz. And I click on OK. Fine. Now in this graph, be very careful. We want the ratio V test upon I test. So I'll go on add trace, I'll type your V test, and in the expressions, I'll divide it by I test and click on OK. Fine. So this gives us the value of Z in directly. Now I don't want to plot this phase plot. And also this in dB, this is in dB, right? So I'll right click over here, click on linear. So once I click on linear, I'll directly get the value at 30 kilohertz. So let's say this is around 30 kilohertz. Okay. So we are getting 9.9 megohms. And by simulation, by calculation also, we are getting 9.9 megohms. As you can see very, very clearly, this is 9.9 megohms. And in simulation also, we are getting calculation also, we are getting 9.9 megohms. Okay. So that's how you calculate the input impedance of the circuit. Now, to calculate the output impedance, nothing we have to do. Only thing is we have to apply this test source at the output now. So let me copy this statement over here. Okay, and let me delete this source from here and put this source at the output side, because output impedance is the impedance looking at the collector terminal of your BJT. Okay, let me delete this label. So I'll connect a wire over here from here to here, and we have to label this node as test again. So over here, let me change this. That will be Z output impedance. Okay. Why I'm writing Z? Because it's a impedance which is dependent upon frequency also, because impedance also is dependent upon frequency. So this will be V out divided by I out. Okay. And click on OK. Now I'll label this as test again and paste it over here. So once you simulate, you will directly automatically get the value of Z out. So I'll go to simulate, click on run. Here it is. As you can see, this output impedance is dependent upon frequency. So as frequency is increasing, it's remaining more of a constant. So around 30 kilohertz. Why 30? Because we have applied the input at 30. At 30 kilohertz, we are getting the value as 1 kilo ohm. As you can see very, very clearly, 1 kilo ohm. And we are getting over here Z out also as 1 kilo ohm. Okay. So that completes the entire analysis of your cascade amplifier, which is a CS followed by a CE amplifier. Okay, CS followed by CE stage. Okay, and we have verified all the values over here. First, we have checked the parameters of the DC parameters of the first stage, then the second stage, then we have evaluated the mid-band gain, and also we have evaluated the input and output impedance. Now, as an exercise, keep all the resistor values and capacitors values same. Only change RD value to 1.8 and note down which parameters are getting affected by it. Okay. And for the next exercise, keep everything same. Only change RC to 1.8 kilo ohm. Okay. So by default, in the diagram we have given RC as 1 kilo ohm. So you change it to increase it to 1.8 kilo ohm and see which parameters are getting affected by it. Okay, and note that down. So see to it that all these print screens you have to take off the input and output, this LT spice. Okay, and also you need to add the tables. I mean, whatever we have added here, the tables, similar tables for the similar for the exercise part. Okay, so over here we have completed a discussion on the DC analysis plus the midband gain plus the input output impedance measurement for a CSCE RC coupled cascade amplifier. So that's it for today. Next time we'll begin with a new topic. Until then, have a good day and thank you.